Welcome to another episode of Victoria's Lounge from One General Madenge residence. Now, when you talk about the loss of a child at any stage, be it a stillbirth, a miscarriage, or even infant loss, it is devastating. And some even term it as the most difficult grief one can go through, as most don't want to talk about it. Most are ashamed and don't want to go through that experience again. Well, I have some women who are ready to share their experiences of child loss and know it all too well. Here are their stories of that experience and their journey to healing. Let's meet them now. Sharon Kendi Mureithi is a mother of 3 and wife. She lost her daughter Njeri after birth when she developed breathing problems. That experience inspired her to volunteer her time to raise awareness on maternal health and reducing infant mortality rates. She's also a marketer in the security industry and prides herself in being one of the few girls who knows what a Cat 6 cable is. Lulu Kimbio is the founder and CEO of Lugua Naturals, a natural personal care brand. But behind her success and cheerful demeanor is the pain she still carries after she lost her son in May 2016. You will hear about how the joy of expecting her first child soon became one of her life's worst nightmares. Wanjiru Kihusa is the founder of Still a Mom, an organization that supports parents who have gone through child loss, such as miscarriages, stillbirth, and infant loss. The blogger and new mother shares that loss was a big part of her life before she gave birth to her son. Stacey Wanjiru is a mother of 3. She proudly claims the 2 children she lost as infants. Stacey's living son, Mark, now in class 3, continues to give her hope that she will be a mother again. It is a story she wants more women to hear and hopefully encourage those who have grappled with child loss. Hashtag Victoria's Lounge is how you can chime into the conversation on social media, as always. Let's get into the conversation. Stacey, let me start with you. It's never easy.
Yeah.
Having to say goodbye to a child. Their life is just beginning. And they have not been accorded the opportunity to just experience life, and all of a sudden. But take us through your experience before your son came into your life. Pregnancy, your experience wanting to get into that space of becoming a mother. What was it like?
I was actually very happy that I was about to become a mother. And okay, I have a firstborn son. He's 10.
Okay.
So this was my second
child now.
Yeah, second child.
Take us through now delivery day.
I went through labor for 3 days. Yes, 3 days. And the last minute I almost went to the theater, but when I was signing the documents for the theater, actually the baby's head. Yeah.
Wow.
So I didn't go, thank God. I remember that fateful day was at night, and just normal, the way you just go change the baby's diapers.
Right.
So when I was opening the diaper, I noticed the urine was a bit too yellow and had a bit reddish.
Okay.
I called my hubby and I told him, what is this? This is not normal. Like, we should rush the baby to the hospital. I told the doctor what happened, and he was like, "You're not noticing the baby has jaundice?" And I'm like, "Really,
how would you know?
How will I know the baby has jaundice? I've never seen this before. Eyes, the lips, the mouth, everywhere was yellow.
Wow.
The fingers, you would see. Now, the following day he became even worse. Now the fever is so high. Even the antibiotics is being put, they are not helping. So we were referred to Kenyatta Hospital, and we went to Kenyatta. We were admitted. So the doctors there, they say that he has to undergo blood transfusion. He can't survive with the blood that he has. So later on is when we were discharged after like a week, because they have to see how the baby is. They have again to do the test to see how the bilirubin is, if it has gone down.
Right.
And for him, it had gone to the brain. Now, one time in the house, he cried, but the voice couldn't come out. Like, you can see he's crying, but there's no voice at all, even nothing. So my baby was like, I was told now what to do. They taught me, like, when he does that, give him air mouth to mouth to unblock, and then he would do, and then the conversion would go away. So I did that for 8 months. I couldn't get a nanny in the house. I couldn't leave him with anyone.
My goodness.
I couldn't even myself, like going to the kitchen, preparing something. I couldn't go without him there, because he may cry. I won't know, I won't hear. And if he convulses, his body will become so stiff. I remember my hubby came home around 8. He came so early, like not normal times. He stayed with the baby there. They played. You wouldn't tell he was sick actually. He was used to smile all through. He would laugh, but no voice. So that day, I remember we went to. I took him to bed. Taking him to bed, I noticed his fever is very high. I undressed him, so he was just with a vest and a diaper. Now he cried, but the one for no voice, you know. I quickly went for Nan. He couldn't breastfeed, because if he does, he can't breathe. I made Nan, fed him. He fed so well. After a minute, he convulsed. So I did the normal thing, like I was so used to it, like a mouth-to-mouth air. I'm trying to give him air, nothing. Nothing, Vicky, nothing. I told my hubby, God, Kenneth doesn't take this long to come back. Like, no, he doesn't. We need to do something. Just please rush him to the hospital, just downstairs. So he took him and rushed him to the hospital. I took the bottle for Nan. I rushed back. I didn't even close the house. I went downstairs. Reaching in the hospital, the doctor was one. Unfortunately, he was in the labor.
Oh my.
He was...
So he couldn't attend to...
He couldn't come. The one who attended were the nurses. They tried giving him this thing. They put something here and then they're just giving him the air. Nothing. But when they do this, the pores are still there.
Wow.
So when he came, after all that, the first aid, he said again, that's what he did.
He settled after that. Yeah,
he settled. And then we saw his body has become like, yani, it's like just someone who's not yani there, you know. So the doctor rushed back. Just that moment, he came in, checked him, did the first aid and everything, but just nothing. And then he did this and he looked at me and just did this. He didn't even talk. He just did this. And I was like, no, this is not like happening. So later on is when the nurse came with a sheet and wrapped him up on the face. I was like, Afana, this is just not happening to me. No, it's not happening. It was so scary. I sat on the floor. I went again, hold my baby like so tight. I was like calling him, Kenneth, please just wake up. It's not time. You like you're so full of life, you know. I was just holding him so tight. So later on is when I like accepted it, you know. Now the doctor called me and the daddy, he told me that now what you're going to do, because we don't have like a place to lay him, what you're going to do is I'm going to sign, right? Something you're supposed to, the doctor is supposed to give you for you to take it to the police station, you know. It was a process, a very big one. So I was like telling them, like, seriously, there's nothing more you can do. Like, this is not happening, you know?
Yeah.
And I can only imagine for you as a mother, you're putting your child, it's already a task, letting someone watch your child. Now you're going to leave them in the care of someone else. Because in your mind, he's still with you.
Yes.
You know,
exactly.
the man may be seeing a body, but you're seeing your son.
Yes. Yes.
So I can only imagine the emotional toll this was taking on you. And of course, we'll talk about the process after. But Wanjiru, let me come to you before we go to break. But your story, we had an entire show with you talking about the struggle of getting pregnant, you know, and the stigma that comes with. We know just generally how society can be so hard on women who have issues conceiving or even carrying a child to term. But take us through your journey, your story.
So the first month we had what is called as a threatened miscarriage at 6 weeks, which is, I started to spot, and I called my doctor and she said, you know, come to the hospital right now. And so I went to the hospital. I was sent for the scan, the ultrasound. And so what they do is they tell you whether the pregnancy is viable,
Right.
which is not a very good term.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so we got the feedback that the pregnancy is indeed viable, and so we went back to the doctor, who put me on medicine, on hormonal therapy, some drugs to maintain the pregnancy. So the spotting stopped, and the pregnancy sort of went back to normal, if I can say that. And so on Saturday, it was a Saturday of November 2nd, 2013. And I spent the whole day in Juja with my husband, and it was hot. But for some reason, I was so cold. I was actually shivering. I remember going to the car and putting on the heat. And this is Juja, and it's really hot. So I was still feeling like something is wrong. It's not quite, I can't quite say what's up. And I've taken all the medications. I mean, I've gone for tests for a UTI, I've gone for a test for, I mean, there's no test that I have not done. And now, this is being a first-time mom, you don't know that is labor.
Right.
Yeah, you know you're having a lot of cramps, very painful ones. So I remember I woke up, and I woke my husband up, and I told him I'm in a lot of pain. And it could probably be the way I looked, because I don't take medicine often, or, you know, I think I'm kind of hardcore, I think. But for some reason, he looked at me, and he must have realized I'm in a lot of pain, because all he said was, dress, we are leaving. So I spent the entire morning of 3rd November fighting to stop labor. Yeah. And the labor was so painful. I actually remember vaguely now, but I remember somebody had to jab me on my thigh because I was in a lot of pain. And so now we have been admitted, the whole process, you know. And so at 12, my doctor just walked into the room, and my water broke. And when the moment the water broke, there's a way I looked at her, and she told me, you know, there's no turning back now, you know. And so I went through the entire process of pushing and, you know, delivery process. And I did, and we delivered a baby girl, and we were able to see her, but unfortunately she was already dead by the time she was delivered. And there's just a lot of anger. Now when you're being discharged, all of a sudden somebody has to write for me medicine so to stop my milk from coming. Because, you know, the moment you deliver, the milk comes, you know, because you're supposed to be nurturing somebody.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now I have 1,000 tablets I'm supposed to take. One of them is supposed to stop milk. It just feels so wrong, you know.
Yeah.
And so I think you start with numbness, and it just turns into this, you're so angry. You're angry at God. You're angry at basically anyone who's around you. You're just an angry person.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it's such a lonely grieving process, because what person wants to talk about losing their child? Who wants to actually come out about that?
Yeah.
And it's certainly a conversation we're going to continue with the other two moms after the break. You're watching Victoria's Lounge. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching Victoria's Lounge. Now to get to Sharon's story. You gave birth to a baby girl. A very joyous time, you know, for any parent. Were you hoping for a girl or a boy? Or did you know?
We knew.
You knew?
Yeah.
Okay. So what was the pregnancy like, at least before we get to the delivery stage and everything? What was your pregnancy like?
My pregnancy was very, very smooth. Completely smooth. Morning sickness, a bit of it, but I never really threw up. So it was just feeling a bit off at times. Every clinic, nothing was wrong. Everything went perfectly smooth.
So this was your first child?
No, my second.
Second child?
Yes.
Okay. So take us through now the day you're about to go for delivery. What was happening then?
I'd gone to my mom's house the night before. So from my mom's house to the office, right? Then I was to go home in the evening. So I'm in the office, I'm working, it's about 8, 9 in the morning, and I've not been feeling movement. So I called my mom and I say I'm not feeling movement. So I used to work next to Coptic Hospital where I was going at the time. So my mom says it's near, just rush and have them check, then go back to work. I checked into hospital. So they prepared me for theatre and I went into theatre. And Jerry was born. So I felt, you know, when it's half CS, you feel the baby, you feel a vacuum. So I felt that vacuum. So then I'm asking them, so she's out, she's out. So they're keeping quiet and there's no baby crying. So is she out, is she out? So then the doctor says, yes, she's out. So then we all keep quiet because we all know when a baby is born, the baby is meant to cry. So a very good doctor, because he moved her from, you know, they cover you, they cover, so you're not seeing that side. So he moved her from that side and brought her to where I could see, right? So he brought her, and then there was the table there, and he started, he pumped, and she cried. Then the guy says that we have to take the baby to the nursery. So that's the point it hit me, okay, things are not meant to go like this. So I asked why, where aren't I going with my baby? Then they said she's not breathing properly. So they trick me. They say, you go rest, let the baby go with your husband, then we'll try see if we can bring the incubator by your bed. So I go, I rest. So after CS, you're tired. So I sleep. So the second day, my husband came and left. So he had to go buy a pump because you have to express milk to then, so it's given to her. So he came, then he left to go buy the pump. Then he brought the pump back and I was with my mom. And then the nurse called. When I went in the morning, something told me to give that nurse my number. So I picked up and she said, are you with your husband? Please come down, the two of you. So when we entered, we were seated next to her incubator and you could see she was in distress because now she's breathing and it's going in, comes. So you could see she's struggling. So the doctor said that we need to transfer her. We don't have the correct machinery here. As we were going, the doctor said, we're not going for 1 week or 2 weeks. He said at least 2 months admission. We opted for Kenyatta private wing. We were in ICU for 2.5 weeks. I remember the day of being discharged, my in-laws both came, and my mother-in-law is insisting she has to carry the baby out, and we were extremely happy. We've come out, we're going home. For me, I forgot that I can lose this child. You know, I knew we've passed through all that, we're out of it, we are safe. So I pick her from her bed and I put her on my bed. So then I turned to make her milk. So first I'm seeing she's struggling, so I'm there with her, then she must just, then she laughed, so I'm like, I turn back to my milk, I turn again, I see, apana here, things are not going. So I pick my phone, I call her dad, and I put him on speakerphone, and I'm telling him the baby is not breathing. So he's screaming, breathe in her mouth, breathe in her mouth. How do you breathe? You know, if you don't know first aid, you don't know. So I'm screaming, she's not breathing, I don't know how to breathe in the mouth. So he keeps saying, breathe in her mouth, I'm coming. So I try breathing in her mouth and we are still struggling, it's not working. So I come out, I open my door outside and I scream. So then he calls my father-in-law. Luck has it, we live next to home. So my father-in-law is in the house, he's told, so he removes his car. So when my mother-in-law entered my bedroom, I left her with the baby and I walked to the sitting room because I knew it's not going the way it should go. So I was not going to sit there and watch it. So too bad for her, but she had to, she took it. So I left the baby and I walked into the sitting room. And then the rush. So then my husband runs into the house. He flew from wherever he was because he was home in less than 10 minutes. So when he ran in and he takes the baby from his mom. So we go, we reach Melzedek and we enter and we say we need oxygen. So they put her on oxygen immediately. So they put her on oxygen and I walk outside. And I call my mom. So I call my mom and I tell her the baby developed breathing complications. We're at Melzedek getting oxygen, then we moved to Karen Hospital. She asked me, how will you move? Then I said, I'll call an ambulance. So I hung up with her. So I continue looking for an ambulance. So I get ambulance number. So I get Karen Hospital's number. So I call them and tell them we're here in Ngong and we need an ambulance. Right. So of course the logistics of you'll pay, so we're sending one. So just as they're about to dispatch an ambulance, this doctor walks to me and tells me, wait, don't call an ambulance. So at that point, I knew what this guy was saying. So my mother-in-law is asking him, what do you mean wait? What are we waiting for? But I understood exactly what he meant, because if she's gone, you can't call an ambulance.
Lulu, I'm sure more or less what these other women went through, but take us through your experience.
Mine was a really nice pregnancy, and I found out I was pregnant when I was away. So that was also something different for me. I wasn't in Kenya at that point. I was visiting my sister outside. So when we found out, it was really, really wonderful. So I couldn't wait to get back home. And the pregnancy, just to take you back a little bit, it was sort of, sorry.
It's okay, take your time.
Okay. Some people get pregnant really, really fast. Like, to them, it's not a struggle. But for me, I had an underlying condition, adenomyosis. So getting pregnant was difficult. So when I found out like I was actually pregnant, it was such a big deal.
Yeah.
My sister and the husband, they stopped everything. Like, they threw a party for me, they invited people. I felt so nice, only that now there were limits to my life. So like, my pregnancy was their pregnancy. Actually, that's what they used to say, "Uyu ni mtoto wetu." Yeah, so it made me feel really, really good. Then when I came back to now Kenya, it was even wonderful because my pregnancy really loved the dad, because there are some women, they really don't want to see their men. But mine, I think it was really needy. Yeah, I was just generally a really happy pregnant woman, because the way you get horror stories of even how you're going to deliver.
Exactly.
To me, I remember telling my doctor, like, yeah, we've come to term, I want this baby out. He's like, you're not scared? He checked me, then he's like, you've dilated just a little bit, so you'll have to go home. Then, yeah, we do this thing tomorrow. My contractions were a bit, they're not progressing that well, because there's a time my sister came and asked me, have you been feeling the baby moving? So I asked her, am I supposed to feel the baby moving and I'm in this pain? Like, I don't think I can feel myself, like I can't feel my face or anything. So let me just be honest, I don't think I felt anything. So she's like, I know this one. So she went and called my doctor. So my doctor comes, then they check me, they're like, hey, now this one, she's ready to push. Me, I had push. I'm like, yes, let's go push. I'm in so much pain. So I'm just giving it my best. Then I'm being told you can see the head. I'm like, yeah, now this is good news. If you can see the head, I just need to go and push. So now I hear my gynae telling me the heartbeat of the baby does not go well with the contractions. But then we come to realize that my passage isn't, how do I explain it? Can't open as much as it's supposed to. So they had to rush me to CS. So during that process, I was just asking them, I'm feeling some pressure. What are you people doing? It's like you're sewing me, because you just feel, it wasn't interesting. It's not painful, but you feel that pressure. True to form, when a baby comes out, you expect something, a voice, cry, baby cry. Yeah, so I just saw the baby. Then the first thing I ask is like, okay, I know the baby has been out. Why is my baby not crying? That's what I was asking. Then no one is talking. So I'm like, okay. So I struggled. Then I was facing this way. Then I saw the baby being taken this way. Like, you can just see it's like a small baby. I'm like, what are they doing? Then from afar you can see someone's hands doing this, so you see they're pumping oxygen. Like, wow. Then in my head everything just started flashing. I'm like, okay, if this is happening today, I'm not ready. Yeah, if you have such a wonderful pregnancy, then this happens, I don't know how you can prepare yourself for such a thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. All the dreams just start flashing. You're like, this boy is so cute. Yeah, his name is JJ. You're like, oh my goodness, he's just so cute. And you start imagining he would have been friends with whose son and stuff. So like, dreams just start. Yeah.
When you're going through the recovery process and healing process, some of the things said, as you're trying to process what's going on. Totally insensitive. It's almost like people don't think before they speak, you know, and a lot of times they may be coming from a good place, but they just have no idea what to say or even how to say it. And we'll be talking about that when we talk about the healing process and recovering process. We're taking a short break here on Victoria's Lounge. Stay with us. All right, welcome back. You're watching Victoria's Lounge. We heard the harrowing stories and experiences from all of you. I'm still trying to process along with you. I know it can't be anywhere close to what it is you went through. But Stacey, if you can just, when you came to the healing process and now processing, you've, you know, gone through the burial, people have come to the house, spoken to you, and now you're thinking, where is life taking us now? Where are we headed?
It wasn't easy. Knowing now that the burial is done, no more friends in the house, maybe 1, 2, or 3. Mostly like the ones who never showed up for the burial would come and taking you back saying, oh, we're sorry for your loss and all. That is something you just never want to hear, like sorry for your loss and all.
Right.
If I was with someone in the house and he's making me laugh or she's making me laugh, that I would forget. I'm going through something.
Right.
But when they walk away out of that door, or they just tell me, oh, Stacey, now I have to go. I'll see you tomorrow. Or that one, it takes me back immediately.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, right now, what would I be doing? I think I would be making pumpkins and bananas for my baby.
The baby, yeah.
And I would be blending them, and right now I think I would be feeding him. You're just alone there and thinking, oh, Kenneth, where are you right now? Are you like seeing me? As in, I'm supposed to feel you, right? Like I'm supposed to feel, yes, he's not there physically, but I'm supposed to feel, hey, uko hapa, you know?
Yeah, and you know, you've mentioned something really interesting because you had gone through the process of taking care of a baby, a newborn, and you're right, your mind is like, no. I'm here at home, this is what I would have been doing. And so it kind of makes the healing process that much harder and the grieving process that much harder. But let me come to you, Wanjiru, because stigma, you know, of you've lost the child and there's no child coming with you. There's expectations coming from family, from friends, from people who knew that you were pregnant, and there's nothing to show for it. How did you deal with that? And also the whole thing of, can I still call myself a mother?
We still feel though that you're still a mom and there's no hierarchy. You know, that whoever still has their child with them right now is more mom than another. And that's what still a mom really is. I think part of our struggle has been to get people to look at this person as a human being, as the way you would look at me if I lost a spouse or I lost a parent or the way I lost my brother or something like that. And that is one of the challenges we face, trying to tell people, you will not tell me that God will give me another person if I had lost my mom. You wouldn't pull such a sentence, So we need to tell guys, you know, this person is a human being. Right now I have a child. They will never be the person, my first and my second born, you know. That girl will always be in our lives. Even if we had gotten another girl, they would never have in any way replaced that child. And I think that is so important, that we treat that person with the idea that this is an individual. It is the same as losing a grown-up. You know, the grief process is actually harder because sometimes if you lose, like in the case of a miscarriage, people they didn't hold that baby, so sometimes they have difficult time seeing your grief as legitimate. They are wondering, why are you fussing? I mean, you were not even pregnant, how you know, or you didn't, you weren't pregnant for long, how you didn't hold them, or you didn't have them for long, you didn't go home with them. That does not in any way lessen the grief. And I think there's a sensitivity that needs to be put. But allow me just to say this, I would rather people show up and stumble over their words and maybe in the process say something offensive than if they don't show up at all. All these women here will tell you we have lost so many friends. And as I work with Still a Mom, it's when I am so jazzed these days that people call and ask, hi, a friend of mine lost a baby. I'm kind of clueless. Tell me what to do. Yeah.
Okay.
And I tell them, I love that your heart is in the right place, but you need to really show up. Just show up.
That's a good point.
There is no alternative to showing up.
And Sharon, because when we're talking about grief, and we said this during the break, it's something that's very personal. It's something that you go through as an individual. So even though you have your husband with you, it's a very personal journey. So when you're grieving together, how do you know how to strike that balance between giving space and offering support?
I remember we buried Jerry on a Friday, and on Monday, James told me I'm going to work. I thought the guy was nuts. What do you mean going to work?
Yeah.
In my head, I was seeing a Mombasa holiday, me and him. You know, let's go relax, let's go be the two of us.
Right.
If we are not going to coast, let's go to Meru. I'd planned it, but this guy says I need to go to work. So I realized that we're at a different place. That's when I realized we're not at the same place. So I let him go to work because it was his way of dealing with it. He wanted to see things are normal, right? So sitting in the house crying with me wasn't his way. So he went to work immediately. I couldn't go back to work. I didn't even know if I wanted to go back to that job, for starters, because everyone there saw me pregnant. So I'm going to tell them that my baby is where, you know. So I was not sure I was keeping that job. So I knew I'm not ready for work, right? So I would wake up in the morning and drive to my mother's house. Now my mom, the first day I got to my mother's house, she had a house help who'd come with her baby that day. So I think I came unannounced, because when I came, I entered the house and my mom said, "Oh, hello, you've come." Yeah, so we're walking in the house. And then that lady's baby cried. My mom almost covered that baby's mouth. You know, she went and she held that baby and she's like, "No, come out with your baby. Go with your baby. Candy is here." So I told my mom, "No, you don't have to chase her. Let her just finish her work." So anyway, as I move, my mom told that lady, "You have to leave and live with your baby," right? Because she was saying I wouldn't manage. But I managed. I would see people with their kids. Yes, I would turn and I would look, but I was fine. Now, my husband for some time didn't want to be around babies. Then I think he healed faster than me, because he, even though he was hurting, I think only I would know. People outside wouldn't tell. As opposed to me, who would see a pregnant woman and break down there in town. You know, my tears in a matatu, I see a woman breastfeeding her child, that's it. I cry there. So it's very hard because you're at different places.
Lulu, do you ever go through the fear of, can I go through this again? Do I want to conceive again? Does that hit you from time to time? And how do you get past it? And do you want kids after this?
Yes, I do want kids. I love kids. If it were my wish, I'd have all of them. Yeah, but the fear, it's more or less like balancing. Some days you're scared, other days you're like, I'll face this head on. I think they coexist. It's just how you learn to live with the two and hope that your faith is stronger than the fear. Yeah, and that's something that's personal, like you have to work on it on your own. Because as much as my husband is supportive, he'll even tell me, go for your Bible study meetings and stuff, I have to make that conscious decision. I am going, and I won't be as fearful as I am, because as humans, yes, you're going to be scared, like, okay, I'll get pregnant, then if I lose. And we did get pregnant again this year, and we were excited, but unfortunately we lost that one as well. And it somehow made me stronger. Like, as a woman, you're still vulnerable, but you're still strong. I don't know how I can explain that. And it made me see that I can still get pregnant, and it's not the end of it. I just have to have this positive outlook to everything and really tap into my faith, because it's really moved me from the worst of the worst places ever. And just continue.
Thank you so much to all of you for your bravery, for your candor to share your experiences. And you can't afford to lose yourself and allow that moment to define you. You're a whole person who went through an experience. So, but thank you so much, and I hope this is also encouraging to those out there who haven't had the courage. You may not do it on national TV, but share it with someone, release it, and hopefully you can get the healing as you help someone else who's gone through the same.
Starting this week, Victoria's Lounge begins our Story series, highlighting the stories of those known and unknown and their overcoming of difficulty, scaling to greater heights, and lessons learned. This segment opens with 5,000-meter world champion Helen Obiri as she narrates her journey to the top of the world.
Kwa majina yangu naitwa Helen Obiri. Mimi ni mama ya mtoto moja ambaye ako 2 years and a half, na mimi ni bibi ya mtu Tom Simeon. Nilianza nikiwa msichana mdogo huko nyumbani mashinani wakati nilikuwa like class 7, wakati nilikuwa around 2000. So nilianza kusapotiwa na wazazi nyumbani hadi wakanitafutia high school, nikakuja Nairobi, nikaanza kukimbia talents. Ndio nikapata some of my friends wakaniambia nijaribu kukimbia 800. So 2011 nilikimbia 800 lakini sikuweza kukimbia vizuri. So nikapata one of my colleagues akaniambia nijaribu kukimbia 1500 wakati wa trials. Nikakimbia trials 1500 na nikaweza kuwin. So ilikuwa my first to represent Kenya, ilikuwa Daegu. I think ile kitu ilikuwa inanifanya nikimbie. Nilikuwa naona watu wanakimbia wanafaa nguo ya Kenya. Sometimes Vivian nilikuwa namuona alikuwa ni kama alikuwa msichana mdogo. So hiyo kitu ilikuwa inanipea roho sana ya kuweza kukimbia, sababu nilikuwa natamani kuvaa hiyo nguo ya Kenya nikikimbia nayo. So nasanga training yangu around 5:40 asubuhi, tumetoka tunamaliza around kitu kama 7, tunapumzika kidogo around 9:30 tunakuja exercise. Hiyo ndio training ya saa tunafanya sana. Alafu we train like 3 times a day. Ukiwa mkimbiaji kuna vitu mingi ambao utafaa kuacha. Sometimes you sacrifice, sometimes you have a family, na sometimes uko wewe ni mfanyikazi umeandikwa na jeshi. Sometimes unafaa understand wewe ni mkimbiaji. Mtu si kuamka asubuhi na kuita world champion. It's something uta work on like for many years. So ile kitu wanafaa kuwa nao ni bidii na a lot of commitment. Unafaa kutrain, you focus, you target. Sometimes wakati tunakimbia 5000 utakimbia kama 800 meters. So unafaa kuanza unaanza chini ukiendelea na juu. Sababu sometimes ukianza na speed ya juu utakuwa umefika katikati, speed itakuwa imeisha ambayo sasa inaikuhitaji sasa ile unaenda kumaliza. So that's why sometimes unaona watu wa 5 maybe race ikifika katikati ndio watu wanaanza kukimbia. So ukianza race utaanza na speed yako yote. So ukifika kitu kama 2 laps to go ndio unaweka ile speed yako yote.
Thank you for watching. Thank you to 1 General Madenge residents for hosting us. Have a wonderful evening, and let's do this again next week.